Howdy, everyone. Here it is on Sunday. And what are you up to? I hope you went to church today. Be
Well,
good
we did
kids.
in the UK anyway, yes.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't. Oh, boy. I'm here today with my friend Stuart, and he's living in the UK. And I cannot pronounce his last name properly. He's going to teach me how to do that. But Stuart is what we call an OG live streamer. He was streaming using this particular application that I use each day, StreamYard. And he was one of the first to try it out. And he's helped thousands of people learn. Well, here in the USA, we're known to exaggerate a little bit, Stuart. So I'm not sure about the numbers, but I think
Not
he's helped
thousands,
thousands.
hundreds.
Okay, hundreds of folks learn
Yeah.
how to live stream. Anything goes today. It's a beautiful day here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Record breaking heat. We almost made, we were supposed to be 91 degrees yesterday, and we did break the record, but it wasn't quite 91. And I'm looking forward to this day with my precious corgi kids. And of course, where Stuart lives, he had a queen that had corgis. So,
Yes.
and he knows just how magical they are.
Yeah. We've got a Malshie, which is a cross between a Maltese Terrier and a Shih Tzu.
Oh,
And
I had
just
to,
before we went live, I had to let her out to do her business. So
yeah,
you never know, she might make an appearance. She might just come
that's
up
quite
and say
all
hello.
right with me. I used to, I got my corgi kids during the COVID time, and when nobody could get out, and I thought we all need a little bit of entertainment to watch, and in the live streams, I'd bring them in as they were growing and playing, and people would just sit there and watch for hours.
Yeah.
As long as I would stay alive, they would be there simply because they wanted, to watch them having so much fun when the rest of us around the world couldn't even get together. So, anyway, um, I this morning I was really discombobulated as to okay, you're going to make your commitment, you're going to do this, and this is what you do every day. And I thought I'm just not feeling it this morning, and I've had and now I know that in your country, tea is the big thing. In my
Yep.
country, it's coffee. And the thing about coffee is, I never even drank my first cup of coffee until I was 21 years old. And a doctor, I was working the midnight shift at the hospital back in the days when we had switchboards. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember.
Analog phone lines
Yep,
and switchboards.
indeed.
And I was one of those, I was a techie gal back then, but I was just all, I was amazed that you could just use these plugs to connect the people.
Yes.
So,
Did you ever listen to their conversations though?
I'm not going to tell. I will not tell.
Well,
I'm not going
I'll
to
tell
put
you
that
what, I
out.
don't know if you had this in the USA, but in the UK, they used to have what they call party lines.
Mhm.
And a party line was a shared line between you and someone else. So
Right.
sometimes you would pick up the phone and get the dialing tone. Other times you would pick up the phone and hear other people speaking.
Yeah.
So you shared the line between you. So you had to be careful that if you lifted up the phone, you didn't disturb someone else speaking. So I don't know if you had that in the USA because it was
Oh,
certainly
yes.
something you did.
Oh yes, absolutely. I was raised in my childhood years. My fraternal grandparents, had a farm, and my first experience in the party lines was at their farm and watching that happen. And and being young, and it's like when I picked up the phone and grandma, they're talking. And where are they coming from? It's all coming all different directions. And
Yeah.
so I became fascinated with the telephone when I was a little kid. And I thought it was really funny in life how life twists and turns because my last name, married last name, is Tomlin.
Yeah.
And of course, and my husband didn't, he wasn't one to, or isn't, he's never been one to search family history and so forth and so on. And I often wondered after marrying him, I said, "You remind me." This is Barb talking to Barb now. I just said, "You remind me of Lily Tomlin." Because he said things he was doing. It was so.
Well, the most famous Tomlin I know is Chris Tomlin,
Uh-huh.
who's a
Yeah,
gospel
the
singer.
gospel singer. That's exactly
Yeah,
right. I
yeah.
actually have a sister-in-law named Chris Tomlin.
All right. The
Yes.
other Chris.
Yeah, the other Chris. The other Chris. She can sing really well as also.
Good.
But
My first memory of telephones was we used to have. My dad was in the Merchant Navy.
mm,
He met my mum in Wick, which is right at the very north of Scotland, and he was working at that time for the GPO as a radio officer. And so we came down to Fife, which is the old ancient kingdom where all the kings and queens used to be, in
uh-huh.
Dunfermline, which has just recently become a city officially. But we've always known it as a city because the kings and queens were here, Robert the Bruce and people like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they'll be famous all over the world. And so we lived in this place just outside called Town Hill, right next to a power station. And my dad, because of his job, got this telephone. And it was one of these ones with the on a stand, and you held one piece to your ear and you spoke with the other one. So my first experience was my dad said to me, "Your grandma's on the phone. Come and talk to her." And I said, "Eh? Your grandma's on the phone." She was, but she's in Peterhead, which is also up the
Yeah,
north of
right.
Scotland. That's where he came from. And he said, "Your grandma wants to talk to you." And I said, "But she's not here." "No, no, here you are." And he put the earpiece to my ear
Yeah.
and the speaker bit to my mouth, and I could hear her voice. And I'm looking at this cable. I took this thing off my ears and I went,
Mm-hmm.
like, how's
Exactly.
that? How is this my grandma? And so she said, I'll do it in what they call Doric, which is Peterhead. She says, "Fit like my loon." And that means, "How are you, my boy?" Fit like
Mm-hmm.
my loon. "Have you been learning anything?" And I said, "Yeah, what?" And my dad said to me, "Tell her what you were learning." And it was, "Jesus loves me, this I know."
Mm-hmm.
And I sang her the whole thing. And this, for me, I could not believe that this was my grandma on the end of this bit of cable. So that's my first experience of a phone.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazed, totally amazed me.
Yes,
You know,
for
especially as a
sure.
child, because you think, where is this coming from? I just didn't understand it. Just no idea.
Exactly. Folks just have no idea today how lucky they are that,
Yeah,
we have advanced as far as we have with technology. It's getting kind of scary though.
yeah,
when,
yeah.
when I was thinking when I um, set this up of the movie of Macaulay Culkin's Home Alone.
Yes,
But I'm
yeah,
not home alone because I have my corgi kids here, got neighbors and so forth. But my husband's on a trip, and I thought, this is crazy. Just thinking about that movie and all the things he went through. And I think
mhm,
as you get older, to be home alone can be dangerous.
yeah,
And I never um, really concentrated on that about my parents and my grandparents, in their senior years. And you're
mhm,
thinking, well, you don't want to leave your children alone, but then your
mhm,
children become adults. And it's like, what about mom and dad? You know,
Yeah.
What's happening to them today? And then you lose dad or you lose mom, and then the other parent is there alone.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that in my story, in my life story, there were 9 years that um, for most of the year, my husband and I was separated from my husband and son from my home here in Albuquerque while I was working on the projects in Central Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wondered, because as a wife, there was certain, yes, dear, you get in the morning, you do these things. I knew he didn't have the memory I did, and I really had to jumpstart him, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered how that would happen. And then
Mm-hmm.
his life would twist and turn. In my project, my partner in my project ended up getting cancer. I got cancer, he got cancer, and he passed away. And the thing with my son and my husband, their story is going on down here, And I thought, oh, I know he's okay because my son can cook. It's actually our son, but he could cook, and for the way I was brought up, if a man's stomach's full, then your life is going to be happy.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, if you do choose a career or not,
Mm-hmm.
if your husband's tummy's full, things will work out.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So you need to make sure that you know how to cook. And I was very fortunate as a very small child to be interested on what was going on with mom and dad in the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
in the
You're
morning. Because
lucky. I wish I had done the same. I lost my mum when she was 49.
oh wow,
I was in my 20s, so I'm 74 this year, and so I've lived a lot longer on this planet than she was allowed to live. So, but I was never interested in cooking at all, and my wife says to me, Stuart, I don't know what this would be like if I was ill. Would you
yeah,
be able to cook and stuff like that? So I said to her this year, I said, New Year's resolution for me, I want you to teach me to cook. Well, she hasn't started yet, and it's now almost April, and I'm still waiting for my first lesson.
are you really?
Yeah,
I
I am.
think now that I've lived the life I have, and I was just so fortunate to have the parents that I did, because my dad enrolled in the army as a young man, and he had a snow skiing accident. So he had a limp when he had a steel pin put in one of his legs, and a little bit shorter. But he was an excellent marksman, and he was a little bit shorter than the other guys. But anyhow, my dad could cook in the army when he went in. His mom and dad taught, or his mother taught him how to cook, because where they came in pioneers in Colorado, they had hunting parties where in the seasonal hunting parties, and these guys were called outfitters. They would go and they would take people to hunt
Mhm.
for uh, uh, their meat for the year. And so what would happen is that all the guys had to know how to cook. And
Mhm.
basically, if you were an outfitter, pretty much they all needed to know how to cook and make great coffee. And
Yeah.
so, from the time they were little, because that was their family history, they were taught how to make coffee and cook. And dad in the army, when they said, "Well, what can you do?" and he said, "Well, I'm a great shot, and I can cook." And the guy said,
Mm.
"We need the cooks." So they sent him to cooking school, and he ended up being really. I looked when he was over in Japan and so forth. He had pictures from his service, and we used to look at his album of service pictures. And at Thanksgiving and so forth, they had the grandest Thanksgiving wherever he was cooking, because he knew how to do it. They just a
Very
really
good.
superb job. And then when
That's
he met
lovely.
my mom came from a family where her mother became a caterer. And
Mm.
so her mother taught her daughters how to cook. And so
Mm.
we came along as children. Of course, I was the oldest child, but when we came along, mom and dad cooked breakfast together. No
Nice.
matter what else was going on, they did that together, and they would even fight about how much spice and so forth. They truly, it was just, it was
Yeah.
an event to watch them cook. And I thought about that, and I thought, take that to the into my life story. And I thought, so few men in, I'm not being sexist here, I really promise I'm not, but
Yeah.
so few men go into a marriage being able to cook.
Yeah.
There, and it's really sad because when I went to school, we had home economics and shop. They call it by another name now, of course, boys and girls together and that. But in those days, that was, learning how to cook was a big deal. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think the world would be at peace if all men and women cooked.
Yes. Yeah.
Because to be able to collaborate in doing that, and I'm sorry that you didn't have that opportunity,
No,
but
my dad actually, my mum taught my dad to cook,
yes.
and actually he was a fabulous baker. He was a really good baker, and he always used to make the dinner later on. He after my mum died, he actually got married quite quickly because he was so lonely as a man, and he really needed to have that companionship. So he met my stepmom, and they got married within a year of my mum dying. I wasn't very happy about it. I've got two
I
brothers,
bet. I
uh,
bet.
and and they were the same as me. It's like, what are you playing at? My mum's grave's still warm. Goodness sake, why? But when he explained about how lonely he was and whatever, I could see where he was coming from. So I just had to well, I have to agree with him that was the way ahead. But he was a good cook. So when Alice and I got together, I'm in my third marriage, and when Alice and I got together, my current wife and last wife for sure, she she was quite keen that our son, when my son was born, he was born on my 40th 40th birthday. So I was 40 in the June, and he was born in the July. She made sure that Jordan was able to cook, and he's a good cook and a good baker, and is
Right.
actually he's a pharmacist in an NHS here in Fife. So he looks after patients in the hospital at various places. I think he's doing hematology just now. But one of the things he said to us when it was his 30th birthday, he said, I would love to go into a Michelin star kitchen because the pressure in the kitchen is the same pressure that he has as a pharmacist.
Right.
So, but the other thing was that had he not been a pharmacist, he would have loved to have been a chef or a baker or both. So we're waiting for our first invitation. He's just recently bought a house near us, and we're waiting for our first invitation to have a slap up meal with him.
Oh
So
my, that
yeah,
would be
so that
awesome.
yeah, indeed. He did last week. It was Mother's Day last week, so he invited his mum round. And he is a partner, and he was with him, and we went through with my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, or two brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws, and had a meal with him. But for Lent, I decided that I wasn't going to eat biscuits, I wasn't going to eat cakes, and I wasn't going to eat sweeties, or candies, I think you call them in
Yeah,
America.
right.
So I decided. So when I went in, he had all this stuff laid out, and it was all sweet stuff. I couldn't touch it, and I was, oh my word! I'm in Lent. I'm not allowed to take any of that stuff. So fortunately, I had some savouries. That does me. So, but I've kept to that since starting Lent. You know, when it started. So we're in our
Yeah.
fifth week now, which
Yeah.
is good.
Wow. I just, I really do think that the number one thing in life when you're starting your journey together as a new couple
Hmm.
anywhere is that you need to be able to cook together. I
Yeah.
think that just, I mean, even if you're upset with each other, when you have to concentrate on making the best meal, I mean, I know my husband is a very competitive person,
Mm.
always has been. He was excellent golfer, excellent in baseball, and so forth and so on. But
Yeah.
he was one who thought when he met me, he was coming up on 30 years old. And he was a very handsome man. And all of the girls, when I worked for the international CPA firm of Deloitte Haskins and Sells, I bet you probably heard of that
Hmm.
CPA firm in your youth because it started over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but he, in that stage of life, all of my girlfriends were saying, "Oh, you don't want to date him. He's older. He's like 7.5 years older or so than I
Yeah.
am."
Yeah.
And but I saw, I watched him work and how disciplined he was, and he would keep till he finished the job and make sure he double checked his work. And
Hmm.
I was working for the top partners in the CPA firm, and I saw the quality of work he brought in, and I thought, this is a bright guy. He's not,
Hmm.
but he um, was more shy. And I think that kind of happens that the shy attracts to the person who's more social. Whichever
Yeah.
one it is, male or female. It's like that
Yeah.
that thing of opposites attract.
Opposites attract. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was really strange, in meeting him because we'd, I don't know if you've ever been to downtown Los Angeles or not, but
I've never
this,
been to the States. It was something that I
oh,
wanted to do when I was younger. The furthest west I've been, I think, Skye, which is an island off the west coast of Scotland. I've never
wow.
even been to Ireland. So, yeah, that was a plan. When StreamYard, well, actually, I was involved in live streaming long before that. For a company called VM Direct and Hello World many, many years ago. They were based in Las Vegas. And so I have a lot of friends who are based in the States, loads of friends who are based
I
in the States,
bet.
but I've never been
I'll be
once.
darned. Well,
And however, sorry, Barbara, my
that's
my wife is a terrible traveler. It doesn't matter what it is, cars, boats, planes, anything, trains. She is not a good traveler. So when we retired together, I retired first, and she retired a couple of years later. And I just wanted to go on cruises, but of course she
Mhm.
doesn't. She doesn't
Oh dear.
travel. So when I suggested that, maybe going to Las Vegas to meet some friends, Richard Cole in particular, who, he wrote the book on network marketing. And I wanted to go and see him, spend some time with him. And she said, no, no, it's not going to happen. Tell you a wee story. When I don't know if you have KLM over in thing, but it's a Dutch airline, and when I was working in sales, I used to travel a lot with them. So I
Hmm.
built up all these points.
Right.
So for one of my birthdays, and it was we were having a birthday celebration. I decided that I was going to go to the Caribbean on these points, and I booked it. And I told my wife that I'd done it, and she said, "I'm not going to go over there." And I said, "Why not?" I said, "It's a five-star resort
Right.
in the Caribbean. Why don't you want?" She says, "I could never do all that traveling. because you had to fly KLM. So we would have had to go to Holland, Holland to New York to somewhere
Right.
else. And it was Aruba was the name of the island
Yeah.
we were going to.
Oh my gosh.
And it was absolutely Bugatti or something like that, estate or something, I can't remember, something like that. And it was, I don't know, something like 5,000 or 10,000 points I'd spent. So I got in touch with KLM and I said, look, my wife's not going to make it. I'm sorry, it's already booked. If you can't go, you'll just have to say bye-bye to all your points. And that's what happened.
Boy,
Yeah.
that's funny. That is somehow our life parallels there, because same in my story here in the States, I earned because of what I did, and I was involved in, getting online, the online community started, and I would go around all over the United States speaking and so forth. I had racked up all those points with American Airlines. And 4 different times I had points to go to Hawaii. We set it up to go, and my husband's work called him, that we had to cancel. So we never did go. And it was really sad, but he does like to travel, but not nearly like I did. And so, but the way life twist and turned in the end, though, haven't been traveling in some time. And then after the cancer story and winning that battle, I knew that, I went 2 years after I won, I did some traveling, and I thought, this is not going to work for me. So I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to connect with all of my friends from around the world online. I find it so unusual, like you, the parallel, because I often wondered in technology what was going on in the UK. And why the UK, Barb, is because I think Nick is your friend. Is it Nick Wood is a friend of yours too?
Maybe,
right? I think so. Because he does some network marketing stuff. But I think when you popped up as a potential friend or whatever, I said, "Oh, it's Nick's friend." So
yeah.
But it was so funny because everything okay there?
Yeah, I just hear my dog. I don't know what she's doing. Just give me 2 ticks, Barbara.
All righty, we'll do that. What a surprise today! We're going to get feedback from my voice from it. There we go. Oh, how precious.
This is Heidi.
Heidi? Oh, what a cutie. I had a Shih Tzu.
That's Heidi.
Yeah, I love my Shih Tzu. I ended up having to give her away when I was pregnant with our son, though, because she I don't know what happened. She wanted to be front and center on everything. But when my son arrived, she was very jealous of the time I spent with him. And she just, her personality just changed overnight. And so I contact some other owners, Shih Tzu owners, and they said yes. They're one person.
Yeah, she's very much a Shih Tzu, but she's still got the terrier in her. Yeah, because she'll go and get a toy, and she wants to really growl at you, and dragging a bit of rope or whatever the toy is. She just wants to have a good fight with you. So there's definitely a lot of terrier in her, apart from the Shih Tzu.
Yeah,
she's very protective. So when we're out walking her, if she sees other dogs she doesn't like, or she thinks they're going to threaten us, she gets a bit vocal.
Yes, absolutely. I know. It's like, and those little things, the littler dogs, at one time I even had a Chihuahua. It's amazing how they can bite. They're not just barkers. They can definitely do some damage. And that's the way with King Arthur and Lady Guinevere. King Arthur has his set of teeth. Even that, the vet said, looking at that, and he says, "I'd hate to come up against you anytime." Yes.
Yeah.
Because King
Yeah.
would just, and seriously, like with my husband, having to do this work for me. I said, "Don't worry, King's here. He'll take care of me." And he is, I mean, every little sound, he's right there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I have no question that he would, when there's a call to arms, he'd be the first one there.
Yeah.
So,
Good. Good.
good. Yeah.
Excellent. Good
Wow.
stuff.
Well, you said you were 74. I am as well at the moment. And I think that I graduated from high school in 1969. And
Yeah.
I just think about what we went through when we first got online, and you were saying, "Oh yeah, back before StreamYard," and I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I got on early
Did
in.
you do blab or stuff like
Oh, of
that?
course. We were,
Yeah.
well, that's what we're doing right now, buddy.
Yeah,
You
indeed.
got to know that. That's what. And I was saying, they call that blab, and I said, my friends in Britain refer to blab. Oh yeah, well, that's where those guys are from.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. Before that, though, I mean, we were talking Google Hangouts before we did
Yes.
that. I was like, I kept saying, because I come from the BBS days, I'm sitting here this
Yeah.
morning
Yeah.
drinking my coffee out of my one BBS Con Atlanta coffee mug from 1994.
Whoa.
Because, back in those days when you actually subscribed to services, you did events. I mean, you would always get the coffee mug and the T-shirt.
Yeah.
You had to have those things,
Yeah.
whatever the events were.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did. CompuServe was the first connection, bigger.
Me too. Me
that was
too.
like, yeah. And
CompuServe,
I
yeah.
was in the PR forum, and then because of ballooning and music, what I was doing with MTV and that, Richard Branson did, opened up a forum on there. And I was into hot air ballooning, and so all my ballooning friends,
Yeah.
it was just everything together. And of course, if you're from the UK, you had to have heard of Cameron balloons, of course.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Richard, who hasn't heard of Richard Branson? So
Yeah.
it's like
Indeed.
those days.
Well, he set up Virgin, and my email is still a Virgin email.
Is
I
that what
started off with him. Yeah, I started off with him years and years when he first brought out Virgin in the UK. I was CompuServe before that.
you're
I
right?
think we did the AIM for a wee while, but it was CompuServe, and that was on the dial-ups then, when you had
Yeah.
to dial up on a modem, and it took ages to get
Exactly.
through. And
I did and the Mustang software, all the BBS systems. I did that here
yes,
in the United States. Big deal on that. And I even have, well, I wrote for the big magazine at that time. In fact, every once in a while I'll bring it online with me. I don't see one of them here today because I did pull them off the bookcase. But back in the day, it was a big deal to actually publish all the websites that there were around the world.
Yeah.
And the biggest publication was one I contributed to. It was actually based here in the USA.
right.
But in doing that and watching people come on, and I dreamed of this, to be able to just pop on and connect with people all over the world. And Blab was one that it really revolutionized this opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Zoom and that, and it's like we were doing stuff for business, but if I could just go to a URL, jump into a studio and start blabbing, start talking about anything, and believe it or not, my friends from the UK that I've had, ever since Blab days, that is exactly, they were the first ones there, so going through so much, and it's been amazing. It's been an amazing ride, and I'm hoping.
I've made a lot of friends on online, especially through StreamYard. what happened with me was, apart from when I was doing it with VM Direct, when we got into live streaming, it was mainly because of lockdown. And I was already live streaming our church services, and we then got into lockdown. And my minister at the time was a technophobe. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a real technophobe, where I was a technocrat. So I said to her, I'm going to have to teach you how. And at that time, I was using OBS
Yes.
uh,
Yes. Uh-huh.
to do my live streaming. And I thought, I can't teach her that. I can't teach her that. So there was Streamlabs OBS called
Yes.
Slobs. And I thought, I could teach her that though. So I taught her that. And so she got it. And I was then online and I saw a friend of mine with StreamYard,
Mm-hmm.
and he put this customer, this viewer's comment up on the screen. And I thought, well, that's brilliant. We could
Right.
get that at church. And then, of course, I then went back to my minister and said to her, Christine, I think we could get on. She says, oh, no, 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 no. This is as much as I need to know. If I can work this, this is all I need to do. However, eventually I managed to get the church using StreamYard. And
Uh-huh.
not only that, but I upgraded them to Virgin's broadband, because
Yeah.
we were with British Telecom then, BT,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not very good for StreamYard. It was forever cutting
I
out.
hear you.
And I
I hear.
said, so why don't we get fiber to the premises
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and get it into the church? And that's what they do that now. They currently do that. I'm not at that church anymore, but I set it up for them.
Yeah.
Stuff
Exactly.
like that. But
There were
yeah,
a lot in the Blab days. There were a lot of churches that actually joined us on that platform
yeah,
for that very reason in reaching out.
yeah,
And I thought, and as going through time and technology and how this, I thought, number one, that's the way to do it because so many uh, otherwise, it's like, oh no, I'm not going to go to church today. I can't be there. I've got to
yeah,
be at sea or I've got to be at that. But when they could actually connect to their very church that they belong to,
yeah, indeed.
because they can use the technology, it was life changing,
Yeah.
life changing.
And it
So,
still is today, because we've still got people who were incapacitated.
mm-hmm.
They couldn't come to church. So we even had people who had never been to church for years and then started to log in and make comments or whatever. And, somebody would go out to visit them and say, what did you think? Oh, yeah, it was really good. It was really good that I had my comment come up on the screen. I really enjoyed that. And that interaction between people, because that's what God wants us to do, is to have these
Exactly.
conversations. He wants
Exactly.
one-to-one conversations with him, for us to have one-to-one conversations with each other. Um,
Exactly.
and that to me is what it's all about.
Yeah.
I love technology. I love communicating with people. And I suppose, as well, as I said to you right at the very start before we went live, it's over 2 years, 2 years, 2 months today,
Mm-hmm.
the 22nd of January 2024, when I last did anything on my website online. That's such a shame, because there's quite a lot happened in those 2 and a bit years that I
Yes.
should really tell people about.
Yeah.
I never used to do a journal. So at Christmas time, I got this bit of software that allowed me to do a journal every day. So I'm doing that now. So what I should do is
Journaling.
go back and read-journal. I read-journal those 2 odd years, at least
Yeah.
highlight the 2 odd years, and put them up online so that people can enjoy what God's
Uh-huh.
been doing in my life for two and a
Yes.
half years.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. Well, I actually have, and that was one of my missions for this year, which I have not even, I think I mentioned it a couple times because I said it's time to, I have over 100 domains and
Wow.
probably 81 or so that are actually active in my company's inventory. And I
Right.
got those domains. I mean, I got them in my inventory and kept them in my inventory. Of course, they're .coms. I got a few of the new, like .live was the first non .com .org,
Yes.
thing
Yeah.
that I had gotten
Yeah.
when we started live streaming. That was the first time I said, "Oh, I've got so many domains. I don't need to get another domain." But
Yeah.
the .live was sold to us, as being very unique. It was strictly for live streaming, and I thought,
It was. Yeah.
if we can stream live, that's the most revolutionary thing in my lifetime. I want to be a part of that
Yeah.
somehow. And I
Yeah.
knew that audio was first. And I have
Hmm.
to say this about StreamYard. It was audio first, and they paid attention to it. As far as live streaming services went, they got back in podcasting 1.0 days.
Yeah.
They recognized that is, that, and you being a musician, that too.
Yeah.
And that how important the sound was.
Indeed.
And I have to say that in all of them that I've tested, StreamYard still has the best audio under the worst circumstances, because
Yeah.
we don't always have the right gear. But the point was to just be there,
Yeah.
and people would put
Absolutely.
up with ratty gear, ratty sound, ratty video if they could just make the connection.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, and that was the thing from Blab days, is to be able to see reactions on the screen, to have the feedback from other people. And that's where you could bring comments up on the screen.
Yes.
And do you know today we have not had a single comment, and both of us probably have. I mean, I've got like 3,000 followers, and I know that at least half of them live stream.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
Sunday is the very worst day for live streaming. I
Yeah.
kid you not. And
Yeah.
that was funny because I remember in the Blab days, and I was up at the resort, and I said, well, I don't have to worry because I can be, with fellow Christians in my Blab, and
Hmm.
because there were those who got it, just like your friend, I said, yes, we
Yeah.
can live stream it, and they can't be there. And so I just love the camaraderie and so forth.
Yeah.
But it is the
Yeah.
worst day as far as, connecting with
Live stream,
folks.
but mind you, you're doing it early in the day, so you're at 9 o'clock. You started at 9 o'clock this morning, where it's 3 o'clock here in the UK,
Right, right.
because
So you're already
we're
done.
6 hours ahead. Yeah, we're 6 hours
Right,
ahead. So we've
right.
already had our church
Yes,
services. Ours
absolutely.
starts, yeah, ours starts at 10 o'clock and
Yeah.
finishes the back of 11,
Ours
where
is
others,
pretty same in the USA, 9 and 10 a.m. It
yeah,
just depends
there's
on what.
some at 11 here, some at quarter
Mhm.
past 11. It really depends. We've got a lot of churches just now that are merging. The Church of
Uh-huh.
Scotland in particular, yeah, the Church of Scotland in particular is having difficulties at this time. A lot of financial difficulties. They're having to sell properties or to merge congregations together. So in
Mhm.
our local area here, there are five, used to be five different churches. They've put two in one charge, two in another charge, and one on its own. That is in its infancy just now. I'm not sure it's working that well. We had a bit of a dispute, I suppose, not so much a dispute. The girl who became the minister in the church that we were resident in and members of, her belief is that everybody's going to heaven. Jesus died for everybody, so everybody's going to heaven. There's no decision making, there's no gospel needs to be preached, and all of that. And I thought, I'm sorry, I can't listen to that every week.
Right.
So we found another church of Scotland, funnily enough, but it was very evangelical and spot on,
Mhm.
which is where we are now. But it's
Mhm.
such a shame because I feel for all those people who are
Sure.
based in there, who are, seeking God's presence in their life. They want to be led, they want to be taught, they want to have a relationship. Some of them don't know that God wants to have a one-to-one relationship with him. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'll just go about my day. As long as I come to church, that's okay. And as long as I'm a good person, that's okay. I'm going to get to heaven. One of the things that happened with my wife, she went along to one of these meetings, and her sister had said to the minister at the time, "Do you think we'll see Hitler in heaven?" And the response was, "Of course, because Jesus died for everybody." And she said, "You're kidding me on." Yes, if Hitler in his dying breath said, "Lord, forgive me. I'm really sorry and genuinely sorry. I want you in my life
Mm-hmm.
before I die." Yes, he'll be in heaven. He'll get
Mm-hmm.
in by the skin of his teeth, but he'll get in. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, to turn around and say that no matter what you do, no matter where you are or what you've done or what you're doing now, you're going to be in heaven. I don't. That's not what my Bible says. No, I mean.
Yeah, very much
So
so.
yeah.
It's
So
amazing.
Sundays are very, very important to us. Well, every day of the week's important.
Sure.
you know,
Especially at this stage.
yeah, absolutely.
And the
And
fact that you can remember it. Oh, is this
yeah.
Sunday or Monday? Because initially, when I got up here
Yeah.
in where I live, they pick up it's a city and they have a city trash service. And so my husband said to me before leaving, he says, "Don't forget, you have to have the trash out to the edge of the street for them to,
Yes.
to
Pick up.
automatically be picked up."
Yep, yep, yep.
And I'm like, "Well, I have to go live at 9. I wonder if I'm gonna." Yeah, I remember those trucks come early, and so
hmm
I go out and I got my everything all, and I thought, wait a minute, this is not Monday, this is Sunday.
This is Sunday, not
I
Monday.
can't believe you did that.
Yeah, ours is a Monday as well. Our pickups are not. No, actually, it's changed now. It's a Wednesday. So I have to
Yeah.
put it out on a Tuesday. Tuesday's my busiest day. On a Tuesday, I've got what we call sport memories in the morning, and that is for people who have Alzheimer's or are lonely or stuff like that, and they want, but they're interested in sport. So it's a
Oh,
charity. It's a charity that's it was started in England, but it's all over the country now, and it's really fabulous. I was very friendly. I worked with my football team's Heart of Midlothian, or Hearts as we call it, and the previous manager, was a friend of mine because I worked with him
mm-hmm.
in my very young days. And he came in during the summertime when the footballers were needing to earn a bit of extra money but keep physical. So they came in to help us do some portering in the place that I was in. So I got really friendly with him. So that a friend of mine that had been going to the sport memories for ages, and he said to me, "Stuart," he said, "would you like to come and hear Jim Jeffries?" And I said, "Of course I would love to see Jim. It's ages since I've seen him," and whatever. He said, "So come along." So I went along. However, Jim never turned up. And it was two girls that were in there who were occupational therapists who had been seconded to Sport Memories to help with, some exercise or stuff like that. And they both did a presentation. One was a footballer, a soccer player, and the other one was a Gaelic football player, which is an Irish sport, a bit
Yes.
like rugby and football joined together. So they did this presentation, and we then had a discussion about lots of things that were happening sport-wise, and I thought, this is brilliant. So the following week, I did see Jim, and I spent some time with him, which was really good. But now my Tuesdays, every Tuesday, I get along there as much as possible. And then after that, I go to our church, and we're doing British Sign Language. Uh, so we're
Oh,
we're doing all
yeah.
this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So, and the reason for it is that we have some people who come in who sign because they're not able to do, they're not able to speak or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
so we do some signing to learn so that when somebody comes along, to the church who signs, we could have a conversation with them.
Mhm.
And so that's that. Then I've got a music meeting, and then at night we've got a Bible study. So I've got 4 things on a Tuesday. It's my
Wow.
days. So, and then when I come home at night after doing that, I need to put the buckets out for the morning, which is why I'm going to tell you that story, because it's Tuesday night that I have to put it out. And some mornings, some evenings, I'll have gone to bed and forgotten about it. So that means I need to get up really early in the morning to make sure the buckets are out for them to pick up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've got everything ready to take out tomorrow, so I'm good to go for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was ahead of the game there. But
Excellent.
I am hoping to be able to get caught up on a lot of stuff that's just sitting here piling up, saying, Barb, need your attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Deal
So,
with me, please. Thank you.
yes, absolutely. I really want to thank you for joining me here today. It's been delightful hearing your story and sharing
Mm.
time with you. I
Yeah.
think that what I am going to do here is wrap up for today,
Yeah.
and I hope that you will be able to join me again sometime soon. It's lovely
Yeah,
connecting
that'll be
with
good. Yeah, I'll see what I can do, Barb. So, yeah, it's just a pity that we don't have anybody else joining us today, but or making any
Absolutely.
comments.
Well, it has to do, like I said, Sunday, but I am determined. It is hard. I kid
Yeah.
you not, because I started on the 16th, and I'm like, I'm already. I mean, it was this morning when I opened. I says, "Am I gonna? Uh, I know that Sunday is not a good day, but I
Mhm.
said in a row, and I'm like, okay, you can do this." And I thought about you because I remembered your comment in
Yeah.
to one of my previous lives, and I said, "Well, you should join me on Sunday."
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And you said, "Well, you didn't know if you could," but and
Yeah,
so I
indeed.
was totally surprised when I saw you waiting there for me when I came in. I thought,
Yeah.
the Lord has spoken, has taken care of you.
Amen. Absolutely.
And
God's plan's always perfect, Barb.
yeah, absolutely. I even have tambourines here by my uh, uh, desk, because do you remember back in the Blab days? I mean, literally, we just pull up instruments, and I
Yeah.
was a singer, of course, in my dad's band and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't play. I did play the guitar years, and when John Denver was around. I think
Oh,
one
nice.
of the John Denver songs. It was the first song I learned how to play, and then my husband was. When we got married, believe it or not, I've got to tell you this before we go, because he's such
Okay.
a hoot.
Fire away.
So he's the shy one, right?
Right.
And he's very handsome, like a Ricky Nielsen type and all that stuff. And
Hmm.
so, and I kept telling him he could sing, and he actually had a band in Vietnam, and he would laugh about it. And I said, music should be taken seriously. My dad
Hmm.
was a singer. My dad's story, and so forth and so on. So when we got married, I was taking him to meet my grandparents for the Christmas holidays. And I
Hmm.
was playing my guitar, the John Denver. I have to go clear back then to think that through. And I was learning it, because I didn't learn until decide, you know what, Daddy's not around anymore. The band's gone. You got to learn how to do this yourself. So,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
the singer. Well, and I had a cousin who played the guitar, and we'd do duets and stuff,
Hmm.
and so, but that was gone. I was by myself. And so I said, I've got to do this. And so I started to learn. I actually got lessons from a music center. And so my husband couldn't stand it, because he's competitive in sports and so forth. And he says, well, I need to get a guitar too, and we'll both play. So here we go on this holiday to Colorado from New Mexico. Two young people with guitars, each of us with guitars. They thought we were stars. You know what I'm saying? Because no kidding,
Yes.
because I had first class seats because of the work that I was
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And so it was all strange. And my husband looked absolutely hot. The girls, to look in just the picture there, it's like, it was so funny. And he couldn't. I said, whatever you do, don't pick it up to play it. so,
They'll be
so
expected. They'll be expecting. It's a real performance. Yeah.
absolutely. And when we got on Blab, everybody, when we were able to get together, and they said, what was going on. I said, I'll be the one. I'll pull everybody together. You guys do the music and I'll sing for you.
Yeah, good, good. Well, I was going to show you the guitars and whatever. I'll just get.
Yeah, do that.
So you can see some of them. This is 6 guitars on here.
Wow.
But there's a banjo at the back. So this is a banjo.
Oh my gosh.
This is a 12-string. This is a bass. This one here's a bass. Down here's my favorite guitar. That's a Fender, but it's also a MIDI guitar. And behind that is my absolute favorite, which is a Gibson 137.
Oh yeah,
so this is what my wife bought me. Oh, it's back to front. That's his skirt, obviously.
Yeah.
So are you seen that right way around, or are you seen that back to front?
Yeah, I can see that. Yes, okay. I can see that. Absolutely.
So this is what we call our media and music room.
Very good.
Yeah, well, so this is where I should be doing all my live streaming.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. We'll make some music. Okay, well, I'm going to take off for today. I saw that my husband just called me on the phone, and fortunately I have it silenced.
All right.
And I'm sure he's going to need me. And you have a great rest of your week, and hopefully I'll catch you again. And thanks for joining me.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm so pleased.
You're quite welcome. So ta-ta from now, everybody. We'll catch you on.